Hello, beautiful beloveds. Welcome to Love, Sex, and Magic with me, your host, Mal Wells. Today's episode is very different than the norm because one of my best friends in the world, Nicky Clinch, is interviewing me. So this interview is, I think, the only interview that I have done this year, and definitely the only one that I have done since my breakup. And I decided to say yes to coming on to Nikki's show, her own podcast, which is called Soul Surgery, because I knew that my story was extremely powerful in the help of her with her new book, which launched into the world recently, called Surrender. Because in my breakup, I had to do a lot of surrendering ideas of who I thought I was, my vision of the future, and so many more things. So I decided to say yes to being interviewed by Nikki on this topic, even though it's incredibly vulnerable and incredibly early. I actually did this interview a couple of months ago now, so it was only 3 months after the breakup happened. So I decided that since Nikki had put it on her podcast, I decided it's already out in the world. So I'm going to share it with you guys as well. And I hope that you will find some healing in this for you in your journey of surrender. Maybe you're going through a big death and rebirth yourself in any which way, shape, or form. And I hope that it really helps you see that there is life on the other side of every painful ending. So without further ado, here is my interview with Nicky Clinch. And yes, enjoy.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Soul Surgery podcast. My name is Nicky Clinch, and I am your host. So today begins the opening of a new series, and this is going to be the Surrender series, where episodes that we release into the podcast now, we are going to be sharing with you a series of conversations and interviews and teachings, all on the powerful and important and transformational process of surrender, where I get to sit with other human beings and hear them share about the biggest points in their life that has invited them into a transformational process of surrender. Now, obviously, you guys know that this is an important topic for me because I wrote a whole book on it, but I wanted you to hear it from many, many, many other human beings, to hear that this is a universal invitation and the power and the depth that comes from being able to surrender and open into a new possibility, into the unknown, into a new space. So today I sit with one of my dearest friends. I begin with one of my dearest friends who I love so much and who is such an inspiring, powerful, beautiful, honest, courageous, authentic human being. And she is doing so much good in this world. I get to sit with the amazing Mel Wells, who is courageously sharing her truth and her heart of a point in her life recently that has invited the greatest surrender. And what she has had to face and live through and feel and navigate through in order to be able to surrender to this cosmic invitation, and the extraordinary gifts that have come through it and out the other side. So I hope that you love this episode. If you do, please do leave a review Your reviews matter. They help this content spread far and wide. If you love the podcast, please do subscribe. I love having you here. And if there are any points in this episode that really land for you, that create an aha moment, an insight, a light bulb, a ding, a shift for you, please do share with us. Share in the comments below underneath the YouTube video, or you can contact me on Instagram, or you can write to me on my website. All details are in the notes below. I love to hear from you, and I love to hear your healing. So without further ado, let's go to the amazing Mel Wells. My love, Mel. Hello, my darling. How are you?
Oh, babe. I'm here. I'm great. No, I'm great. I'm actually the happiest that I've ever been. But I am nervous about this conversation.
I know you are. And I also know that this is the happiest that you've ever been. And it's been such an honor to be one of the lucky ones to be able to witness you through the last few months. And also, I just want to acknowledge right here, right now, and that's for everybody listening. This is a real honor for me to be able to have you sit here and share yourself and what you're about to share with me and with us. You know, that's an honor, because I know this is the first time you've really spoken about this publicly. And I know how vulnerable it is and how personal this is for you. This has been, what we're about to speak about has been your life and your journey for the last, how many months now?
We're not even 3 months down the line. Start of first week of March is when it happened. And we're not even 3 months later. And this was, without a doubt, the most traumatic event of my entire life. And yes. I really don't say that to be dramatic. It really, really was. And so I'm so grateful, because you really were there for me day in, day out on Zoom, from the day that I found out to now. You know, we've been on Zoom constantly, and you've been such an incredible friend and such an incredible big sister and support to me. And there was some days where I literally I couldn't do anything. I couldn't function. All I could think about was, I just need to have a Zoom with Nicky. And that was my one job for the day.
Yeah. I remember.
Yeah. I mean, you saw me.
I did.
I mean, God. Anyway, yeah, maybe some context is helpful.
Yes. So just to set some context for everyone listening, and also for us, you know, the invitation here, and I approached you a few weeks back. I wanted to open up a series of conversations to speak to real human beings, and human beings such as yourself, who also have a platform, a voice, and to really share openly about the greatest points of surrender in your life. Mm-hmm. Now, I approached you with this invitation knowing that this has been the biggest point of surrender of your life.
Oh my God. I have never known surrender like it. And I've known that I'm going to need to speak about this publicly eventually, but I've wanted to wait until I've felt like I'm actually healed or healing, you know, in a really good place, so that when I do speak about it, I'm not coming from anger or rage or resentment or pain anymore, which if we'd have recorded this a month ago, I definitely would have been. So that's why it's taken me this long. And I also really feel that when, you know, as you said, I do have this voice, this platform, I'm in many ways speaking to a lot of people every time I do a post or share a lesson. And so when this was going on in my life, I really felt that great sense of responsibility for my own healing, and also for what I would like, what the purpose of this is for my role here, to really share this and share this real transformational process of healing through the depths of heartbreak and betrayal and loss, and not just for me, but for everyone else who's been through this or is going through this and who hasn't known how to navigate it. So I really felt that sense of responsibility as I was navigating it, that this was bigger than just me.
Yes. And I think that's why I wanted to invite you on so many levels. But really, I think the biggest invitation is for everybody to hear that even when you have a big platform, even when you've got this beautiful, successful life, even then, life comes with lessons.
Yeah.
And it will come out of nowhere and it will hit you like a ton of bricks. And that is the invitation where we think a breakdown, well, it becomes a breakdown that has the invitation somehow to become a breakthrough, even though you can't see it yet. So I want to go right back. Because I actually remember the day when I got your WhatsApp. I remember the day. I'll never forget it.
I remember it too.
Well, of course you remember it. So tell us when everything changed. Tell us when everything changed.
Yeah. So, little backstory. My relationship was 4 years old. We had recently moved from the UK over to Costa Rica to start our new chapter, with a plan to look for land to buy so that we could build our dream home and start a family. We had a very public relationship, a very loving relationship, a very powerful relationship, and in many ways a very healthy relationship. And we were not navigating any challenges, when this happened. We were not in therapy. We were not fighting. We were not having big heated discussions. We were not trying to have a break and then come back and have a break. That was not what was happening. In fact, the opposite. We were extremely happy, constantly telling each other how grateful we were for each other. Constantly. We were very in love, and we had recently celebrated my birthday, where a bunch of our friends flew out and spent time with us. And we were talking about getting engaged this year. Like, that's why this was such a traumatic experience, because I did not see it coming in the slightest. Now, what happened was, when everything changed, as you asked, was he flew out, as as I'm sure a lot of people know that listen to this podcast and that listen to my podcast. We had been exploring working with plant medicine. We've been drinking ayahuasca, going on plant medicine retreats. And when you drink plant medicine, there is a high possibility that you're going to change your life after you do that. It creates big shifts in your life. It shows you things that you could not see before. It presents you with things, and sometimes that can be confusing, and sometimes that can be scary, and sometimes that can be amazing. Anyway, this is something that we were both exploring together. And I always had a fear, I guess, that he could go and drink ayahuasca and then come home and break up with me, because of having this new realization that actually he didn't want to be in this relationship. And that I think that's a fear for most people that drink plant medicine, or whose partners drink ayahuasca. but that was definitely a fear for me. It wasn't something that was like consciously on my mind, but I felt so secure in our relationship and so safe, and like we were so resilient, that I heard it happen to people, and I never thought it would ever happen to us, because I thought we were so strong and I thought we were invincible. And, I shared so much of our relationship online, and that was because I was so proud of the relationship that we had. I was so proud of what we'd created. I was so moved by it. I was so, it was real for both of us. And so I just never thought something like that would ever happen to us, because I really felt like our love could overcome anything. So anyway, exactly what I just mentioned is exactly what happened. He went on a plant medicine retreat, drank ayahuasca for 4 nights, and he came back and just withdrew from me a little bit. And I noticed, and I tried to ask him if everything was okay. And he just said, yeah, I'm just integrating from the ceremonies. And I was like, cool. And then 2 weeks later, he broke up with me out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I was floored, and it didn't make any sense, to the point where I said, have you met someone? None of this makes any sense. This is so out of the blue. Like, we're so amazing. What are you talking about? Like, we're so happy. We're so in love. Like, we're living our dream life. Like what? I thought it was a joke. And I had a week of confusion and a week of just like, what the fuck? And then he finally told me that he had met someone on this plant medicine retreat, and he had also had a vision and basically been told by the medicine, been shown by the medicine that this relationship wasn't for him, and this new relationship with this new girl that he'd just met was for him.
Yeah.
So this,
wow,
yeah, like, this is not a movie. This actually happened less than 3 months ago, right? And this is, I cannot think of a worse nightmare that I could have lived through than this.
Yes.
Like, so this man was my world. This relationship was my world. Everything. It blindsided me and felt like I'd been hit by a bus.
So I have some questions. When you spoke about a week of confusion, now I want to just go deeper into that, because I think that is a very, very common reaction to a big shock of change.
Yeah.
What was actually happening for you, like in the mind and the body, in the confusion? What was actually happening?
Well, in that week of confusion, I was in denial, and I was very much like, I need to make him change his mind, and we can fix this, basically, because I didn't know about the other woman. So I thought, he's having a wobbly, we can work through this, we can get couples therapy, I can fix this, I can make him change his mind, because something's going on. He's confused after ceremony, but this is what we do. We work through stuff. Like, we're a conscious couple who work through our shit, so we can work through this. So that week of confusion was really me trying to fix it. I hired a coach. I worked with a therapist. I actually went and drank ayahuasca myself twice that week. And all of this was before I knew about the other woman. And I was just confused, like trying to piece together things that didn't make any sense to me. But I definitely wasn't ready to start grieving the relationship. I was very much still in denial and like, I need to put this back together and we need to work through this because, you know, in the 4 years that we'd been together, it's not that we had a perfect relationship for 4 years. That's not what I'm saying. We had challenges, absolutely. And we'd worked through them in therapy, you know, and these are challenges that now when I look back in hindsight, those challenges that we worked through in therapy were actually big warning signs and red flags that I wasn't ready to see as those red flags because I was so committed to doing the work. And that's something that I have really learned a lot on this journey of healing this heartbreak. I've really noticed how, because us in this space, we are so aware of trauma and attachment styles and, you know, childhood stuff and wounds. I think what can happen is because we know that, we understand it, we can justify a lot more because we understand it. And that's what I have realized that I actually did quite a lot in that relationship. Justified, worked through things because I understood the root of where that wound was coming from in him. And wanted to be this person that was so committed to doing the work. And actually, when I look back now, those were not necessarily opportunities to do they were opportunities to do the work, but they also were warning signs that I wasn't ready to see. I wasn't willing to see.
Absolutely. And I think what you're speaking of is such a common phenomenon. It's, you know, there's kind of the 3D level and then there's the bigger level. And on a bigger level, what happens, and, you know, we have this idea of who we are, like we work through stuff. This is who we are. We're resilient. This is who we are as a couple. This is the story of us as a couple. And then something comes along that just jars that, I want to call it a picture, even though it doesn't feel like a picture, it's your life. It's like it jars that story and you're like, what? Hold on, wait, hold on. And you're trying to get back to the picture or the story of who you think you are. And that was the week of confusion. You called it denial, but it's like an identity, the identity of you and your ex. You know, that was the idea of who you are, and what came along smashed that
completely. And I wasn't ready to let it be smashed yet. So I was desperately trying to put it back together by myself and just so confused as to why he wasn't keen to put it back together. You know, I was saying like, you know, we're both, you know, we both are coaches who do this work. Like, let's get a therapist, let's get a coach. He was not interested in doing that. And I was so shocked by that. This is what really confused me, because I was like, if anyone can work through an issue in a relationship, it's us. Why don't we go to couples therapy? Why don't we get a coach? Like, I'm not getting it. Why don't you want to work at this? Why aren't you even interested in that? And that's when I started to think, like, there's got to be someone else. Like, why would someone just completely go from 1 minute being like, you know, looking at rings and looking at land together to the next minute being like, it's over and I don't even want to work on it, without any major arguments or issues happening, right? And so obviously there was something happening for him, clearly, that he just wasn't ever communicating with me. So, God, like, this is a real lesson for everyone. I think, you know, you communicate in your relationships. Like, I thought we had the most amazing communication. I thought we talked about everything. And I just think, like, if you're really completely as committed as you say you are, then your energy is not even open to that of another person.
And I think the thing is here is that what started to reveal itself You see, we don't know what we don't know, and I know that sounds obvious, but we don't know what we don't know. We can't see behind our blind spots. A blind spot is when we don't know that we don't even know that we don't know. So you were communicating at the point that you were both capable of at the time, and even you yourself can say now, you look back and you're like, oh wow, I started to see things afterwards that I just couldn't see before about what I had been tolerating. And
and I really did. I really now, like, you know, almost 3 months on, I can really see how I was quite blind to some things. And now it's like I have like fixed, like, you know, there's that quote that says, so the things that break your heart fix your vision. And that's exactly what this has felt like. I've had like new glasses put on, and suddenly I'm like, oh my God, what was I doing? And like, of course, like, I can't believe I let this kind of stuff happen and didn't register, you know?
yes,
Because then someone says like, well, wasn't there any signs? Wasn't there any signs? I'm like, no, there wasn't any signs. And then when I actually sit with it and look back, I'm like, oh yeah,
yes.
you know?
So can you share with us the point in which you started to let go? Because, you know, you were there's that phase when you're gripping on and you don't want it to be real, and you're trying to fix it and you're trying to change it, and it's so, and you can't. And then there was a point when you finally let go. You let that in.
It took me a while, babe, to fully surrender, because I was in fixing mode. Even when I found out about this woman, I still thought that we could overcome it and fix it. I think when I really knew that it was over, was when I found out that the week after I had picked the rest of my bags up from the house, he had flown over to this woman and began a sexual relationship with her already. And that was it. That was the kicker. That was like a stab in the heart. And that was when I actually was like, oh, like we're really not coming back from this. Like, it was one thing to like, oh, I met someone, I had this vision, I had these feelings, but nothing happened. But then to end things with me and then straight away go and sleep with this new person, it killed me. And that changed a lot for me. That sent me into a dark place, but it also set me free, because it gave me the real knowing in my body that we were not coming back. And that was really when I had to let things die and let things go. And that's when I started really, that was when the healing that I was doing was not with the intention of trying to get us back together. It was with the intention of, I need to get through this. It was always, I need to get through this, but it was, I need to get through this and I need to fix this. And then it went from that to being, I need to get through this. I need to survive this somehow, because I felt like I was dying, you know. That first week of shock, I didn't eat, couldn't sleep, could hardly walk. I was just laid in bed, just paralyzed. And all I was able to do was organize Zoom calls with therapists and coaches and healers and friends like you. And that was my only job. I was just in bed with my laptop, basically trying to heal myself. And I was meditating probably about 5 times a day just to try and quiet my mind, which was going about a zillion miles an hour.
Yeah, because in that moment, it's not just like, share with me, like, it's not just the relationship that you realize you have to let die.
No, it was
it's
everything.
The whole life. It's
whole
everything.
Life. Everything that we had built, everything that I thought was so incredible, my world, everything that I was aiming towards with my work was all for this image in my head of us and our future. So that had completely shattered.
Yes.
I had never considered ever that we wouldn't be together. I thought we would be together till the end of time. And I thought another realization that I'd had since the breakup, since this all happened, another realization that I had that's been really powerful for me is that I actually would not have left ever.
Wow.
He could have done anything and I would have forgiven it, worked through it, because that is who I was being in that relationship. And that was what I thought was a conscious relationship. You know, we work through stuff together, we do the work, we don't leave. And so I realized that if this had not happened in the way that it had happened, I would never have left. That was a huge realization for me, because I saw where are my boundaries there? Where have I betrayed myself there? Because I was so devoted to this picture in my head of our future, of us, you know?
Yes.
So yeah, my entire identity, and obviously the fact that everything was so public as well, just builds even more of a big identity around it, of course. But like, you know, all of the friendships that we have together, like, you know, all of our friends were just like, what on earth? It was such a big shock. And so yeah, I mean, this is really the first time that I'm able to speak about it without falling apart. So
yes, well, you're doing great. You're doing so great, and you're being really brave.
Thank you.
And I want to go a little bit deeper.
Yeah.
In the moment, in that phase where you said that you hit a dark place, and that really is the breaking point. And I know that phase well. I know it well. For me personally, but everyone I've ever worked with. And it's in that phase, which I'm sure took a while, what seeings did you start to get about your own self, maybe points of your childhood, or points of your original family, or lessons or seeings from your past that you hadn't really connected before? Did anything start to reveal itself that was connected in some kind of mirror to what was happening?
Oh yes, they were coming hard and fast. They were coming hard and fast. Yeah. I think there's two big realizations that I had that sprung to mind. One of them that hit me like a ton of bricks was the similarities in some of the traits of our relationship and of him that mirrored my mum and stepfather's relationship, which I've done a lot of work around my relationship with my dad, because it's my dad and we had stuff to work through, and I've worked through stuff, you know, around him. and the masculine. But what I hadn't really dived into was my stepdad, who had raised me since I was 10. And when I saw those connections, my heart stopped beating. Wow. So there was that. That was one of those things that is like, once you see that, you can't unsee that. Yeah. I saw a lot of the coping strategies that I had used in the relationship unconsciously to make myself feel safe in the relationship, because deep down there was a part of me that did not feel safe, even though on the surface I thought we had this amazing relationship, super secure, like so resilient, there were underlying fears and a sense of unsafety. And I bulldozed that by trying to push us more into more commitment as one point, being the one that wanted to talk about marriage and babies, being the one that wanted to drive these conversations forward, being the one that wanted to buy land. Like, that was all coming from me. That was not coming from him. That was all coming from me, right? And I realized this, and I had always known it, but I hadn't really known it until this point. And then I was like, oh my God, I've been doing that to try and cling on to safety because I've had this underlying sense of unsafety. So that was another one. The third one that came strong and fast was just this picture of the perfect family that I've always idolized in my head since I was a little girl. This picture of the perfect couple with the perfect family that's always been my dream, babe. And you know that, like, I'm so, you know, I'm so maternal. I've wanted kids since before I can remember. Yeah. And so that picture of this family and this relationship and this, I was taken back to the inception of that dream and the memory of that. And it was, it was my mum and dad, like, posing with the four of us for this, like, family Christmas card. And I remember that I remember thinking to myself, we are the picture of a perfect family. Yeah. But there was also a part of me that knew that wasn't the reality. The picture wasn't the same. Do you know what I mean? And so I remember having that feeling at, like, I must have been like 8 or something. And I realized that now, as a 31-year-old woman, I had still been living all my relationships, or living this relationship, I should say, with this image in my head. And, like, I mean, I've got vision boards, I've got, you know, Instagram accounts. I save so many pictures of family and babies, and, like, it's, you know, some people put pictures of houses and cars on their vision board. Mine's full of family. It's just, it's the way that I'm made. It really means the world to me. And so I was holding on to that image, thinking that that's what we were doing. Not really seeing or registering that was all coming from me and not him. Oh God, am I oversharing here, babe?
No, you're not. You are being so honest, and I really want to acknowledge that what you are speaking of is a human phenomenon. Like, this is a part of the process. I wrote a whole chapter on this in the book called Letting Go of Pictures. This is what we do. This is how we try to survive. We have the pictures in our mind, and the pictures itself create the life, while the reality is kind of simmering under the surface, and we can't see it because all we can see is the picture, until life comes along, and I want to say gifts us, even though it doesn't gift us. But it is a gift. Gifts us with a waking up. It's like, wake up from the picture so you can have a life. like the real life. And I'm not saying that what you had wasn't a life, but but you can, I know now, because I know you, that you've dropped to a deeper level in how you're coming into life. And that's because a picture was smashed.
Oh my God. I cannot believe it that less than 3 months, I literally thought I was dying from a heartbreak. Like I would go to bed and literally think to myself, probably going to die in my sleep tonight because this pain is so agonizing. I don't know how I'm going to get through this.
Yeah.
But I knew that I would. And I also knew deep down that like every time I've ever been through any awful rock bottom moment in my life, that there's always something fucking amazing on the other side of it. And I was like, I trust wherever I'm going with this, whatever the reason, whatever the purpose is of this shit show, I know that I'm going to thrive again. And I know that this is going to work out for me just great because I just trust so much in my life. I trust so much in God, the universe, source. I just trusted that, okay, like clearly, if this is what's happening right now in my life, clearly I am destined for something better. Yes. So that's something to get excited about. So even though I was in the depths of despair, there was always hope. There was always trust. There was always a knowing that it was leading somewhere magical. And now I cannot believe, babe, the amount of light that has been pouring into my life. I mean, I thought I had an amazing life. I do. And now I'm like, I feel like my heart has just like been blown open. And now I'm able to like, I have so much more light. And I feel I'm able to receive more light. And the people that are coming into my life are just absolute, just incredible, just blowing me away. And babe, this morning I went to the beach with my journal, which is something that I do every morning here. And I sat on the beach with my journal this morning and I looked up at the sky and I cried. And I said, thank you. Like, this is crazy. Like, this is crazy. This last few months has been crazy. And thank you so much. Like, oh my God, like, I'm so grateful. I'm so grateful. And I really, at the time, so funny because I've just remembered at the time he said to me when he was ending things, he said, one day you'll thank me. And I wanted to punch him in the face. I was like, F you.
F you. Yeah.
And now I'm like, thank you.
Yes. But you can't get to where you are now without having gone through every single milli point that you went through. And I want to come back a little bit, just because this is so important for people listening. The trust that you are speaking of is the lighthouse. That is it. You talked about trust in God, in life, in universe. But really, there's another kind of trust, and that's the trust that you had in yourself.
Oh my God, I have a huge amount of trust in myself because I know that what I've been through in my life and how I have overcome things and alchemized things. I know that I'm very strong, and I know that that trust and that level of self-love that I have, the relationship that I have with myself, and my ability to take care of myself and soothe myself and give myself what I need in those dark moments. I knew that I could rely on that. So there was no chance that I was going to respond to this by going out and getting drunk or falling into an addictive pattern or, I don't know, going crazy or, dropping off the face of the planet. Like, I knew that I wasn't going to do that because I've developed a really strong relationship with myself, a strong relationship with my inner child. and a strong spiritual practice. And these are the times that come along and all of that shit gets tested.
Yes, and that's what I want everyone to hear. That is the foundation to everything. I remember when shit was at the bottom of the bottom, you went back to basics. You went back to the basics of self-care and self-love. I remember
Yes.
you were just, what do I need to feed myself that's loving? Can I do some body work today? Do I need to sleep more? You cleared a lot of your diary. It was like you just did what you needed to love yourself through that phase. And when everyone listening, it's like we think if we can just get all these things and all this stuff and all these whatever, if none of that means anything, if you haven't prioritized the foundation of the relationship that you have with yourself, because when life changes, which it will, that's what it will always come back to.
Yes.
Always.
Yeah.
And that was your lighthouse.
Yes. So I immediately just cleared my whole calendar because I knew that I could not possibly show up and lead any sessions for anyone or do anything really. So I had my whole calendar cleared. And that was the most loving thing that I could have done. And I can imagine maybe me 5 years ago would have just plummeted herself straight into work. And I was, we had a launch planned that we decided to completely postpone until I decided I was ready. I was supposed to be handing in my third book on the 2nd of April, and I had to email my publishers and say, I'm literally like going through the worst experience of my life. I'm not going to be handing a book in. I'm sorry, like you need to give me a 6-month extension, which was such a huge deal. And you know what it's like in the book world to ask for that is a really big deal. And I could have just the book is done. I could have just got it done, got it. No, I was like, no. I need to live through this. I need to be with what is here. There's a reason that this is happening at this point in my life, and I have to trust it. I have to surrender to it. And I went all the way into the pain.
You did.
I went all the way in. I didn't try and avoid it. I didn't try and skip over it. I went, oh, this is how it feels to have my entire heart ripped into a million pieces. Okay, let me really be with this. Let me really, really feel this. And there was so much crying. There was so much screaming. There was so much rage. And I let it all be felt. And I welcomed it all. And I loved it all. And I didn't try and rush myself. And I didn't judge myself. And I think that's why here I am less than 3 months later, and I'm literally feeling on top of the world. And now, if that was back on the table to go backwards, it would be a full body no. Yeah. And that's how I know that I've moved on.
I mean, that's just huge. I mean, please, everyone listening, please hear this. I know everything in your mind is telling you not to feel the pain and find every way to tidy it up, fix it, change it, get rid of it, run from it. But man, the only way through is through. And you went all the way through. I remember I'd come on Zoom with you and I'd be like, how are you, darling? And you were like, I just literally spent an hour punching pillows and screaming and raging. I'm great. And I was like, good, bloody good for you. Like you just kept going there. And and that's healing. That was healing. It was healing you didn't even know you needed to grow into where you've grown into.
And I knew, okay, I'm going to give this healing everything I've got. Like this is my one job right now is to take care of myself. So I'm going to be great at it, So I spoke to therapists, I had coaching, I had psychology, I had energy healing work, I had body work, I had massages, I had random energy treatments that I'd never even heard of before. I saw psychics, I saw astrologers. I brought in the whole crew, babe. And And I'm so glad I did, because every single healer or sister or therapist helped me a little bit more, helped me just put another piece of myself back together. Every time I reached out for support, because that's the other thing, like, you're not meant to do this alone. Like, don't go through this alone. Reach out and ask your friends, reach out to experts, reach out to your friends and say, I need you, like it felt so good for me to have such an incredible support network while I was going through that. And I felt really proud of myself for not trying to navigate it alone, because that would have taken me a lot longer than 3 months if I had.
Yes. So, okay, share with us now, what are the gifts?
Oh my God.
The gifts that you didn't even know. You see, I want to remind you what you said. You wouldn't have left. There's no way you would have done this willingly. You would never have consciously chosen this yourself.
No.
So now that you are out the other side, and you're still growing out the other side, what are the surprise gifts?
Babe, I don't even know where to begin. There's so many. It makes me want to cry. I feel more myself than I've ever felt. I feel more light. I feel more fun. I feel like I'm glowing from the inside out. My life is so full and so rich. And I've come over here to Miami, and I'm living in this apartment right now, and Rio's here, and I'm so happy. My life is so full. Like it's hard for me to express that, but it's just, I feel a new levels of self-love, new levels of light that have been able to pour into my heart.
Yeah.
And just the people and the things that are coming into my field are blowing me away. Like, I'm like, what? How is this possible? Like, it's like another level of manifestation magic that I just can't even put into words right now. But in another couple of months, I'll be able to kind of really, really express what I'm trying to say. Right now, I'm just like, oh my God, I am so me. I'm so happy. I'm so light. It feels like a new energy that I didn't even know was existent for me.
Yes.
It's like this weight has like gone. This energy of needing and needing something to look a certain way. And when I say that, I mean like me needing commitment from another person. Right? That I didn't realize how much that was a weight pulling me down inside of me.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't realize how much that, like, I need us to have this family, or I need this to be the picture in my head. I didn't realize how heavy that was weighing on me, actually. So even though I was driving towards it thinking that it was beautiful and light and amazing, now I don't have that. I feel free and I feel me. And now I don't have a picture in my head at all. I'm just like, the picture is my life as it is right now. And it's just day to day. What do I want to create today? Like, this is fucking amazing. Life is a miracle. I'm in Miami. I'm with my girlfriends all the time. And like, yeah, and I'm dating again, and it's just
I love how you whispered that. I'm dating again.
I know, because it was terrifying for me to even think about that. And now I'm like, oh my God, I'm so excited about all the people that I'm going to get to meet. This is so fun.
Yeah. Oh, Mel, I just want you to know I am so proud of you. You really navigated your way through this with the most amazing amount of courage and love and trust. That is what you showed all the time, even when you were breaking. And, I was there the day the WhatsApp message popped through. Actually, you called me and I saw a missed call and I was like, what's happened? And you told me, and it was like the world fell apart. And watching that, and you through every single phase to where you are now, and you're just shining. You're just shining. And you see, you thought you were more you back then.
Right. Exactly. It just
And
shows that,
look.
like, the universe is literally cracking you open to a new level of light and a new level of healing and just a new level of you. Like, now, gosh, like the next relationship that I enter into, oh my God, I'm a different woman. I'm so much more strong. I know what my boundaries are. I know what I tolerate. I know what I need. I know what I don't want. I know what to look for. Just on a whole nother level than when I entered into this last relationship when I was 26 or 27. I can't remember. So I am a whole different person now. And I feel this is the first time, honestly, in my life where I've been single and felt like, do you know what? Like, if I don't meet anyone significant for the next however many years, I'm fucking cool. Like, I'm willing to wait as long as it takes because I'm fucking so happy right now with my life. Like, and I know what I deserve. I know that I deserve it all, and I am willing to wait for that.
Wow. Mic drop.
Yes.
You're amazing. Thank you for sharing your heart and your story and yourself with us. Thank you just for being you. It's an honor to be your friend. It was an honor to witness you through this journey and to watch you just shine so bright now. And you're just getting started. You're just getting started.
I know. So, well, I am just indebted to you, babe. Like, the amount of love and support and just space holding that you have given me over the last 3 months. Like, most days we have talked, and I have never had a friend show up for me in that way before, ever. You, like, it really touches me, and it's been so meaningful to me. Honestly, I love you so much. You're such a special human, and I'm so grateful that those moments of just joining your Zoom room and just like you being like, how are you today? Like, I don't know if you will ever know just what that meant to me. Like, you are so incredibly special to me, babe. I really love you.
Oh, I love you too. I love you. I love you. I love you. And it was easy. It's easy to love you. It's easy to show up for you. It's just easy because, the way that you navigate through life and the way that you navigate through the shit is in service of something greater. And that is so obvious and so clear. And so it's easy to support you through that because who you are becoming is a gift. It's a gift to the people around you. It's a gift to life, and it's a gift to me, and it's a gift to everybody who follows you. So, it's easy to love you because it serves everyone.
Oh, babe, I love you so much.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, darling Mel. We love you. And I know that this is going to help so many people listening to this. Everybody watching you and witnessing you through this has been gifted by watching you. So thank you for your honesty, for your courage and your heart. Thank you.
Thank you, my love. Thank you, my loves, for listening to that different episode on today's show. I really hope that it provided you with some kind of lesson or insight or aha moment in your own journey. And I want to thank you so much for honoring my journey of healing my own heartbreak, which is a journey that I'm still on to this day. I'm sending you all so much love, and please do drop me a message or share this on your Instagram story if you enjoyed this episode. And I'll see you next week for another episode of Love, Sex, and Magic. Bye for now.